Welcome back, episode 4, Harder Working Podcast. Cody Cessna hosting it. Today I have Mike Lomonaco with Lomonaco Plumbing. Kind of brought him on because I want to hear his story, entrepreneurship, how he got where he's at, and how he was able to build, a successful business. So I guess, Mike, to start off, when did you kind of get into your trade or?
So I came from a background with my dad being a general contractor. So I've been in the trades ever since I was a little grom, helping out my dad with his subcontractors, running around, doing everything from drywall, masonry, plumbing, framing, you name it. I was the little helper on site. So
you're well-rounded?
Well-rounded, grew up in the trenches.
That's good. And it's interesting. How did you pick an avenue then? If you knew all of that, you just saw more room, you liked it, or?
So I actually came from a framing background. Did that for a while when the economy took a dive in the 2000 period. The developer I was working with a really killer plumbing contractor that was always busy. So I approached a plumbing contractor. I was like, hey, what's up with some work? I'm getting kind of, slowing down with the framing. And he's like, people always need to go to the bathroom, shower, and shave. No matter how bad the economy gets, no matter how tough things get, plumbers are always busy if you're a good guy. And that just made a lot of sense to me. That summer, I traded in my framing bags, went to trade school, got my degree in plumbing, and busy ever since.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. The demand will always be there.
Yes.
And it's, I mean, just to think about it, like with I have my rentals, and I have a person, a guest, if they flush something down the toilet, it's like $300 just to get someone to come out and plunge.
Oh, for sure.
And
for sure.
And trying to get somebody, the demand is high.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed. Yeah. So it's kind of like me with the power thing. If people are always going to need power, people are always going to need plumbing.
Absolutely.
So you started working for that company for a good amount of time?
Yep. Started working for that company for a good amount of time. They slowed down, got a job with another company in San Clemente where I'm at now, worked for them for a few years, got my wife pregnant with my first daughter, approached my boss for a raise. He looked me dead in the eye and said I was pretty much tapped out for how much I was making. Shook his hand, said, thank you very much for the opportunity, but I'm gonna, been working hard. I'm gonna start my own company. Dang. So that was kind of the fire that led me to take it to the next step, was having my daughter and, having to make something more for myself. And then, in hindsight, it was probably the best thing my old boss could have done for me, is tell me that I was tapped out, because had he not, I'd probably be still working for that company, as a lead tech rather than, a business owner.
Did you have thoughts before it, or was it like, that was and then that was the last straw type thing? Like you had always thought about breaking off on your own, or, cause I know that's what it was for me. I really wanted to. And then there was a similar incident where a boss screwed me over, and it finally was the nail, I was like, I got to do it. Got to risk it. And
so I had been studying, I had that kind of vision of grandeur. I knew how good I was. Essentially I knew what I wanted to do. But at the time it was, really stressful, it was sink or swim. So with him telling me that I was tapped out, that was kind of that last straw that you were saying, that took me to, well, that ain't going to work. So we're going to have to figure something else out. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, I think, and then also with your, you think you said your daughter was on the, but you guys, with her on the way, it forces you, like, I think you just know inside too. You're like, I have to. I'm going to do what it takes.
You have to, for sure.
When like my twins were, I think they were like 4 months old, was when I quit. Like drug up, quit and broke off and did it. Like, you're like, what kind of idiot is gonna, but I knew it deep down inside. I'm like, I'm going to make it work no matter what, like it is what it is. And like worst comes to worst, like you got your experience, you know what you're doing. You can always go with another outfit or
for sure.
Whatever.
Yeah. You know what you're worth. Like you said, the kind of weight you can carry, what you bring to the table. So, you bring that confidence level and,
And then you look back, it creates a great story.
For sure.
I mean, it's 100%. One of those things like you can tell your kids, you're like, hey, look, like I risked it and it paid off. And
you're the reason why.
Yeah. Also, though, it's like for them, you know, it shows them they can do it too. Like,
for sure.
Like, don't be scared, take risks. You know, I wish I did it sooner in life. You know, I almost feel like I played it too safe. I don't know. How long ago was that when you did that?
So I incorporated my company 2014. So 26, about 12, you know.
Nice. Yeah. And how many employees do you have now?
Right now, I just hired on another guy. So we have 6 guys in the field plus myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Not too bad.
It's not easy. Once you start picking up employees, you feel the responsibility in the way.
100%.
It's not just you anymore. Now they're dependent. Their families that mouths to feed are on you.
Exactly.
And you have to keep and build. And I don't know.
Yeah, you take it to the next step to do more for your family, but then you're taking on other people's families as well on the table. So you're really compounding that anxiety and that pressure and, you know, all that stress to make it happen, for sure.
I didn't know about that till after.
Oh yeah, you figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
There's no kind of playbook for that.
No, it's like a headache. That's a lot of stress and a lot of work. So when you broke off on your own, it was just you with the truck and you just kind of started, or did you have like references or people, contacts to kind of go off of?
When I first broke off, my main thing was just because I was low on funds and everything else was to approach property managers, right? So I approached some property managers, told them, you know, carte blanche, hey, I'm starting on my own, but if you give me the chance, I'm not going to let you down. You know, give me the opportunity and I'll be the last one you have to call. And I landed one good account, and that took me to where, you know, I was busy and paying my bills and working all the time. So it was real fortunate to where kind of guerrilla ground and pound, you know, didn't have the money to do the full on blasting with, you know, social media or Google or Yelp or anything like that, because that takes, you know, pay to play type stuff. So it was more old school tactics got me going.
Word of mouth, yeah, be reliable. I know for a lot of those, you know, rental agencies or companies, or, you know, being a landlord myself, just having someone reliable that actually pick up the phone, you know, because a mouth will say anything. These guys will say anything, but then when it comes to a bind and it's a Sunday, you need something.
And a lot of times when you're, you know, a property manager or whatever else, you have those vendors, you call dispatch or whatever, and then they send out a tech to where the way I got those accounts, like, you're calling me directly, you're dealing with me directly, you're not getting the runaround, I'm going to be on site for you, I'm going to be the one that's trustworthy for you, you know, dealing with the one-stop shop. So that really helped me out, being a, you know, beginner in the industry and trying to prove myself and, you know, build a reputation.
Yeah, working your way that way. And so you essentially got to, you know, build it, you know, slower in the right way versus, like, you know, some of these companies blow up fast, hire a bunch of guys.
Some of these companies
have
funding from the back end, you know, come into it with $500,000, $1 million, where they blow it out with, you know, 5 trucks, a bunch of guys, hire super fast, lose quality control right off the get-go, and then have a real time building off that shaky foundation, right? So yeah, I was the total opposite. Build it nice and slow with my last name on the trucks, you know, dealing with me and building it, you know, step by step.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you guys typically like? What type of work do you like hone in on certain areas, or you're like, are you still doing a lot of the property management stuff, or are you trying to do new construction?
So we do everything. We do everything from property management, residential, commercial, even government work now too. We specialize in drain cleaning and trenchless pipelining. So that's kind of my niche, you know, because everybody's doing plumbing now. So that's kind of, you know, you have to have something that stands you out. So my whole thing is I like coming across or doing projects that no one else can wrap their head around. You know, give me a problem that no one else can figure out. Give me something that everybody is having a real hard time with. I'm your guy. You know, so I'm that plumber that, you know, other plumbers will go to or recommend. There's a number of times where I've been on projects to bid projects, and the customer will say, you know, you're actually recommended by 2 of the guys. So out of the 3 bids, 2 guys recommended you, and now here you are. So, you know, it's kind of nice.
Little specialty area. So you're good at it and known in the industry. That's good. Another thing too is, so when you said you went to school for it, what exactly did that entail?
So it was a trade school. So it involved code books and then applying those codes in a lab scenario to where you're mocking stuff up, building things, going over measurements, slope, sizing, fixture units, the whole gamut. So part of the studies you were going over code book and book work, and then the other part of the classes you were actually applying all that stuff.
That's awesome. So it kind of gets you familiar with I guess, code, California code, which is I'm sure ever changing.
Oh yeah, every 4 years.
Spec, teach as much as you can, but then you need to get out in the wild and get your actual, hands dirty, kind of learn it. I know that was the same way with me. You don't learn so much in school, then you just have to do that experience. Experience always pays.
For sure. So that helped me out going, and getting that first job, having that little jump off, saying I came from a trade school and, had some credentials, and it just wasn't some greenhorn, just, hey, here I am with my tape measure and pencil wanting to get dirty. So yeah, helped me out a little bit.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to get into that trade, because I mean, honestly, it's a great trade because like you said, it's never going away.
Recession proof. AI isn't going to touch it, no. Yeah. If you can.
AI is not changing out, none of that,
No, they're not going to snake your toilet. They're not going to change out your closet flange. They're not going to, do anything of that nature. So if you're a good guy and you have the wherewithal, you want to get dirty, you have the initiative, you have a good attitude, sky's the limit.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's one of those cool trades where, you can, like you said, sky's the limit. You can just, if you want to just be, just the basic,
sure,
run a truck and just that's it, whatever. Or if you want to build your own empire, you can do that.
Yeah. You got guys that are comfortable, being helpers, making good money. You got guys that are lead techs that absolutely kill it. And then if you want to take on that responsibility and take it to the next step, it's right there for you. So it's the American dream. The trades right now, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, it's everything went away from the trades, and now I've seen a big shift where a lot of stuff is coming back into the trades.
For
sure, which is cool. I like the fact that when there's opportunity, with me in line work, there was opportunity to where I didn't have to always be breaking my back too. So that's what's kind of cool over there. There's there's opportunity. I'm sure there's guys that can you can estimate jobs, you could do all kinds of different stuff. You can run or organize crews or big, so that way, if you don't want to always be breaking your back, there's different avenues, which is good, Yeah.
And you make good money, sleep good about it. Blue collar work is, dirty hands, but clean money, and you feel good about it. You're helping out people, you're solving problems, you're feeling good at the end of the day because you've helped out a family, or you got water flowing or drains are flowing and people are able to, clean up or bathe their kids or wash their clothes, do their dishes, cook their food. So it's definitely a necessity.
Yeah. Do you guys do like on call 24/7?
Oh yeah, for sure. Plumbing doesn't sleep. And if you don't do that, you're just leaving money on the table.
I know. Unfortunately, I've had too many of those calls.
And that's kind of the double-edged sword when you especially as a one-man show, when you first get going, is you make those sacrifices, right? Because there are those long nights. You have to sacrifice holidays. There's been numerous times when you're out to a movie and your phone, it starts beeping on you, whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, I really have to go, or you have to cut things short. But if you're able to make those sacrifices in the beginning, it'll compound and pay off in the end, So
you got to kind of have that talk with mama and be like, hey,
you got to be on the page with me. You got to support me. It's for the bigger picture. I'm doing this for the family. Because if you don't have that support at home, and if you don't have that, structure and everybody isn't on the same page, it makes stuff really hard. You only have 24 hours in the day to account for business, family, yourself, everything, to where it can get misconstrued really fast. You want to focus on work 100%. Then you fall short on family life or your wife or whatever at home, but then you still need to take care of yourself with mental health, making sure you're not burning it at both ends, that you can still wake up the next day, feel good, feel strong, feel motivated, and keep it going, because it can get daunting. It really can.
Oh yeah. And then, when your mind's not on task, that's when accidents happen, or you 100%. Forget steps or whatever, all those different things. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think you're work life needs to be good and your home life, you know, because they're in sync. You know, we spend...
They need to complement each other.
Yeah. We spend the majority of our lives at work versus home. And so if your work life isn't good, you know, and so that's... Because a lot of guys are, you know, I was stuck in a trade before line work that I just didn't like. I thought I would like it. I got into welding and I got my structural cert and I was making pretty good money, but I wasn't happy. I thought I wanted to do it, you know, and so it affected my personal life because my work life wasn't good, you know, and so I see that. And unfortunately, I see it all the time with a lot of people where they just don't like their job. So if somebody gets in or you know, you apply for a company, you know, when obviously they have like a helper or grunt and then the apprenticeship, how long are all those steps typically?
For me and my company, it kind of depends on the individual. We're really not based with any kind of time frame. It's more based on your initiative and the responsibilities you want to take on, what you can accomplish and what you can bring to the table. I've had guys that have come on and progressed really quickly in 1 year, and I've had guys that have been with me for a couple of years and kind of, you know, plateaued and just been cozy and comfortable. So it all depends on your attitude, you know, what you want to take on, being humble, you know, being willing to learn and, you know, keep that continued education.
That's awesome. Have you had to fire people?
Oh yeah. There's always, you know, issues. But you know, things come up, you address them. You know, mistakes happen naturally, but if, you know, continued mistakes or negligence, that's not good for culture. You know, that's not good for the team. It's not good for the tech, you know? Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you have to draw that line, which is unfortunate, but you know, you got to do what you got to do for the greater good of the team and everything else. Because if you let things slide, then you're just setting precedents for other people to, you know, act that way or
lower the standards.
You know, you're not keeping that quality control up to par. And that just reflects your reputation, what the quality that you're giving to the customers and everything else. So you gotta cut that short pretty quick.
Yeah. Although I've never had to fire anyone yet, you know, our team's still small, but when I was, you know, in line work and we would get some helpers or grommen that, you know, nice guys, like on a personal level, you're like, cool, but in the work sense, you know, just not getting it, or they're a danger to themselves or others just because, you know, they're not getting the, you know, and you repetitive, you teach them and you teach them and you teach them and nothing's sticking, you know, and it's a tough conversation to have, but you need to be able to have those conversations, like, or else it affects, you know, everything else. Yeah.
And then with the trades too, with the equipment that you're using, you know, torches, machines, stuff that's spinning at high RPMs, blades, saws, grinders, you know, liability is a huge factor. Yeah. You know, a huge factor.
Yeah. And imagine the go backs, like you guys are, you know, you're doing a job, you're under a house, you're doing whatever. And if it's not done right and you got to come back out a week later.
Oh yeah. Like, liability is huge. And to do a callback and to work for free, you know, in a sense isn't good for anybody.
Yeah. Don't make sense. And don't make dollar.
Absolutely.
You work out every day?
Not every day.
Okay, I heard you're a big workout guy, so
I try to train a little bit. Yeah. I'm pretty active with my son in martial arts, and then try to hit the gym when I can.
Oh, nice. Yeah. What's worse, the grunters in the gym or stinky people in the gym?
Oh, geez, that's a tough one. But for me, because I have my headphones and stuff in most of the time, I kind of drown out the grunters, but the smell you can't.
It's the worst. It's the worst. It'll just throw you off your game
for sure.
But, anything else you think is valuable, I guess, for like in just in that trade, I guess?
Just be prepared for everything. You know, there's going to be customers that are a delight to work for. And want to tip you for your service and are really, really nice. And there's other customers, just like anything else, that want to nickel and dime you for your services, want to be over your back, and essentially want to try to get work done for free, you know, just because they're unhappy people or whatever else. I've seen the whole spectrum of customers, you know, so it's just tough always trying to keep that level head. being patient, being polite with everything, taking things in stride, trying your best to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and always make the best decision.
Yeah. I feel like every walk of life, there's good, bad, and ugly, just customers and businesses, because I guarantee if I were to call 5 plumbing companies right now, some of them would be, not the best, and it's real hard to see through, especially because people, they buy all these reviews on Yelp and whatever,
for sure.
And so you don't really know it, it's good. When you're getting duped, I had it where we'll get someone flush the shirt down a toilet. Okay. They said on a Sunday they call and everything. All right, it'll be $700. We'll get it done. They call me back. We got to get a different snake. Now it's going to be $1,200.
Yeah. And that's
now we got to do both.
Yeah. The whole bait and switch stuff is really, really crazy nowadays. Especially with everything that's been available with social media and just the competition. Now I remember before it was like, $100 drain cleaning to $88 drain cleaning, $79 drain cleaning, $60. Now I got an ad the other day. It was like $39 for a drain cleaning. It was like, that's just such a crazy bait and switch. There's nobody making money on that type of a call, to where as a customer, you're just waiting for that setup, So it's just, that whole transparency with dealing with someone you can trust right off the bat is really hard to find nowadays.
Yeah. And then it puts bad actors in your industry. And so then everyone, what do? Then they just, once you're hurt once or you're screwed once, then you feel, let me have my guard up for this next guy. And then you have to try and prove it wrong that, hey, there are still some good actors out here, not trying to screw you over. In my situation, they're like, oh, you don't live around here. You're a landlord. It needs, it's like they knew everything, they knew they had me in their hand, and I had to, I guess in the property and So it just like, it puts a bad taste in my mouth where every time it's like, oh, here we go, know? And so for
me, kind of a red flag is if you're a customer and you're paying for that, if you're looking for that low ticket and you pay for that low ticket, and now you're getting that bait and switch with a salesman and stuff, you're just, you're kind of asking for it rather than going with that small mom and pop shop, and you're dealing with that technician that actually knows what he's talking about. He's not setting you up for that salesman to come in behind them to upsell you and bump you up on, to where your fix could have been $500 or $600. Now they're trying to get $20,000 or $30,000 out of you. That's just kind of crazy.
What would you recommend? Like if I was a customer, obviously my area, like out in the desert, if I was trying to look and find a reliable company, like, cause I had one guy and he was great for like 2 years. And he just, stopped responding. Poor communication. If you have poor communication, I got to set a point in my life where I just can't do it. What would you recommend finding or how to do it? I guess.
So that's kind of the hard thing is, finding that good guy. Me personally, if I was a customer, I would stay away from those big companies, those big like corporate branded companies. But you also want to stay away from those kind of handyman type dudes too. You want to make sure you're dealing with a smaller company that's licensed, bonded, and insured. You can check them up on the CSLB. If they have a BBB standing, those would be the key kind of factors. And then go into the Yelps and stuff like that. But, take that with a grain of salt. Don't read into that too much. See if they're, seem personable or whatever else. And then kind of go from there.
Check. All right. What territories do you service?
We're actually all over. We're South Orange County primarily, but we've done big government jobs, internationally overseas.
Dang.
So
that's awesome.
We're all over the place.
That's cool.
Yeah. We're into solving problems people can't. So if I get that call and people have an issue, we're down to help.
So you go to Palm Desert.
Yes. No worries. I got you.
For sure. I need a reliable plumber out there. I've got
screwed
too many times where, it's like I was saying, it puts a bad taste in your mouth. I mean, you just know, you're just like,
That's why it's so important to deal with somebody that you can really trust. And that's why, our business, we get more return customer stuff than anything, because our reputation precedes itself.
Yeah, that return rate is, people spend all this money like in advertising or whatever, but if you have a good return rate, like if you just do your job correctly the first time, you don't have to pay for it to get them to return,
Exactly. So a lot of these big companies that have that budget, they want to work, they have enough money for their budgeting blast their marketing accounts to where their primary goal is to work for every customer once. Hit them hard once, as hard as you can, because we have enough money out there to where we're on to the next customer. For a smaller company, you want that return customer to call you back because you don't have that $20,000 a month to spend on advertising, right? So you can dial back on your advertising and rely on your reputation a lot more than these companies that can spend those huge tickets on advertising because their reputation is subpar, right? So you can do just as good or even better sometimes as a smaller mom and pop shop with a few guys with a killer reputation than that big branded company with a 3-star reputation, right? Because your guys are always busy working, and those guys, they got 15 guys on rotation, but only 7 of them are working.
Long run, you're going to be way more profitable because you're going to have to allocate no money to advertising. Not only are they returning, but their word of mouth is huge. I mean, that's kind of like with us, I didn't expect our customer return rate to be like so good, and our customer return rate, like when they do a repurchase, when they buy another pair too, it blew me away.
You got good quality, you got good people, you got a good team, you got return customers.
I think I have a fair price, so I think it's no matter what industry you're in, that stuff, it matters. It really does.
For sure.
Because it's hard to get a customer to land them first time. And you spend a lot of money and whatever it is. But like you were saying, if you just do a good job and you keep them coming back, you're going to be way more profitable than the big guys.
And with social media too, you can really take advantage of those free outlets like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok to blast yourself, and to talk about yourself and to promote yourself and to show what you do and what you specialize in. Some of my biggest jobs were from word of mouth, to where I didn't have to pay those big budgeting, calls to get that, relying on Google or Yelp or whatever else to streamline the revenue. Word of mouth and reputation have got me those big accounts, have got me those big government jobs. It's about, your reputation and the relationships you've built over time. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Everyone too, it's like social media is the search engine. Everyone's just using it. They'll just look up, hey, if I were right here, I'd be plumbing Costa Mesa, and if your stuff generates, especially the younger generation.
And then you can get that organic traction, that you're not pay-per-clicks type stuff. You're not paying on that back end. It's all natural, organic stuff that's generating for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how, everything's
switching.
So adapt or die. I'm trying my best. I never thought I'd have to be a content creator, but sometimes you got, it's like as a business owner, you got to wear so many different hats.
Absolutely. So many different hats from bookkeeping, being in the trenches, trying to manage, everything.
I imagine for you, because you have not only accounting, payroll, you got to buy material and this and that. Was it tough to go from yourself to getting the team?
Definitely wasn't what the brochure said.
Yeah.
It was definitely a lot more than I anticipated, but it's been a fun journey, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I did it the old school, hard way, ground up, nice and slow. So I was able to know how everything worked and how to make everything smooth and build that culture and team, know how to treat my employees because I was that employee. I knew how to communicate with guys to where they didn't feel like they were getting talked down to, how to appreciate the guys, give them that attaboy, show them that they're respected and appreciated and that they're worth something. That's the biggest thing is turn around on guys. I've had to let go of a couple guys over the years, but I would say over the decade that I've been in business, I've only maybe fired 2 guys. And over that decade I've been in business, I still have, guys that are working with me for over 7 years. So it's something to be said to have a small company, but have such a solid team.
Yeah. I think it's awesome when you come up from the bottom because you've seen every step and you got to see how how it is being treated poorly, how it is being treated good, you know, and how that affects your morale and all that stuff. And what people, you always think you're like, oh, I can't wait to be a foreman, or I can't wait to be a boss. But then when you actually become a foreman or a boss, it's a lot harder than you think, because
careful what you wish for, you just might get it.
Yeah. Well, it's the way you react to stuff, the way you just kind of coach morale and people and everything.
Handle under pressure.
Yeah. Everything is really, you know, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of weight, a lot more than you think. You think, I'm just gonna be a boss, I'm just you know,
I'm just gonna make the money.
yeah, everything's all good. No, yeah. And then when you actually finally do, you're like, wow, everything really, you know, because you get employees that they're not having a great day. I got problems at home. They got whatever. You need to be able to coach them through those situations. You know, realize when, hey, maybe, you know, they you know, go sit on the sidelines for right now, or whatever it is, or you know, or get some motivation in them.
Yeah, or just be able to have that one-on-one with them and relate to them as a person, you know, and not just as a number, like, hey, get to work, or you know, I don't care, or you know, check your feelings at the door type thing. You know, to be understanding and be there for them, showing them, you know, making sure that they know that they can approach you for anything, and not just work related, but, you know, personal stuff too, because it's, you know, to build a family culture, you want to be able to communicate like a family, you know, have your team members and your guys know that, you know, he's going to be there for me for work, but if I have something going on, I can still, you know, talk to him, try to get some advice, just have an ear to listen to sometimes. Sometimes as a man in the trades, you don't have people that are, you know, looking after you or asking how you are, or, you know, wondering, you know, what's going on, or your day to day, you know. So just to have that outlet, to be able to be available and have that, you know, conversation going is really nice too.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing a good job if you have all those guys sticking around and, you know, kept a tight, good, reliable team.
Trying to. It's not easy.
Yeah. I imagine so. Well, I think that's good. We've spewed out enough stuff here.
Sweet.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
I know you're a busy man. You know, you guys are crushing it from what I hear. And
thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.